speaker this evening, the West Virginia Commissioner of Agriculture. It's particularly an honor, and I'll get to that why, but he is a retired officer of the United States Marine Corps with a 20-year career, returned to West Virginia as a farmer, served in the West Virginia Senate, and has been in office as the West Virginia Commissioner of Agriculture since 2017. He is now in his third term of office. Very near and dear to my heart is that he is a paid-up-for-life member of the American Legion at Post 81 in Pine Grove, West Virginia. So give a resounding and thunderous Bowie State welcome to Kent Leonhardt.
Wow, thank you for that warm welcome. And first, let me congratulate you all for making the choice to be here and learn about what happens with our state government. You know, a lot of people, I go around the state and they ask me what you do for a living, and I say I'm the Commissioner of Agriculture, and they'll look at me and go, what county? And they'll tell me they voted in every election. So the fact that you're out here learning about the elections and how government works in the state of West Virginia, I applaud you for that. You know, but we're a little different in West Virginia. Most commissioners of agriculture or secretary or directors of agriculture are appointed by the governor. Not here. I'm one of 12 commissioners that are elected. Most of us are in the southeast. Iowa and North Dakota are the exceptions that are not south and east of Texas. So that's an exception. And it's a great thing because there's things that I have to do sometimes and the governor can't tell me, no, you can't do that. Now, I have to get along with the governor a little bit because he does have a little line item veto on budgets and stuff. So you don't want to make him too mad. But I will let you all know a little something that's going to happen tomorrow that hasn't been announced yet. I was just having a conversation on your front porch here with our state veterinarian, and I am going to restrict movement of warm-blooded animals from the containment area in Texas. I have that authority within our Constitution and our laws because of the New World screwworm that you've probably heard about in the news. Now, that does not risk our food supply, other than it may reduce the number of animals available for the food supply and raise the price of beef again in the future, but it does not affect the safety of your food. And rest assured that most of the meat that you do eat is inspected by the U.S. Department of Agriculture or by your West Virginia Department of Agriculture. And believe it or not, we do reject animals every year so that they don't enter the food supply, to make sure that you have a safe supply of meat. But at any rate, so I'm going to restrict movement. They have found 3 cases now, and we're going to extend it to all warm-blooded animals because one of the cases is in a dog, and we don't know where that dog has moved from. Now, typically, we don't bring a lot of cattle in from Texas to West Virginia, but some of our livestock producers will actually try to improve their genetics, and they may buy a heifer or a bull from Texas, and we can't take that risk of bringing that New World screwworm here to West Virginia. And we're going to cooperate. So that's one of the things that we do at the Department of Agriculture, and my military background kind of lended to this when I first took office. If we had a foreign animal disease, whether a virus or a bug, I was very nervous when I first took office because our emergency action plans they weren't in very good shape. So I hired a veterinarian, a state veterinarian out of Florida, who had experience with crises in animal diseases and how to set up that network and that emergency action planning. And we've actually gone out and done tabletop exercises, just like in the military, in case there's an outbreak, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, who we're going to call. We've invited our neighboring states to them. We've invited our emergency management folks. We've invited the U.S. Department of Agriculture to it. And actually, we've gotten such recognition that we were actually part of a tabletop in Baltimore, Maryland, not too long ago. And the Oklahoma Secretary of Agriculture said, we need to do more exercising like West Virginia does. So we are getting a little bit on the national stage as far as getting planned and ready for emergencies such as possibly the New World screwworm. There's also African swine fever that's out there. There's a lot of different things that can actually affect what happens to our livestock. But a lot of people don't realize this also. How many people have heard about tourism in West Virginia? All right, how many people know what the Department of Agriculture has to do with tourism? Tell me one. What did we do with tourism in the Department of Agriculture?
You guys co-handled it, coincided with it, such as you guys have helped implement different policies and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's very true. Your West Virginia Department of Agriculture is responsible for forest health, and we do an awful lot of work with clean water. We're the only state to meet the goals of the Chesapeake Bay restoration of the Chesapeake Bay. So what are the two things that makes West Virginia tourism? It's our beautiful forests and our mountains and our clean waters and our outdoor recreation. Your Department of Agriculture is very much involved in making sure that's there. Although we don't get a whole lot of recognition about it, but we are very much involved. Plus we also have this thing called agritourism, where a lot of folks are wanting to eat locally, eat West Virginia grown, and also do things like corn mazes, pumpkin patches, pick your own, and that's the agritourism world that and those are additional incomes for our local small farmers, because the way the supply chain has worked, it's been very difficult on the farmer. They put the most time in on the products, and they have the lowest profit margin on each of the products that you all get to consume. The other thing is the supply chain has changed, and we need to work on that. We're working very hard on our West Virginia Grown program, because what we learned, particularly during COVID, we had already started down this path before COVID hit, getting more and more farmers markets up and operating by just changing some of the regulations. The closer your food is grown to where it's consumed, the safer it is, and the healthier it is. The less chance of somebody nefariously contaminating it or somebody accidentally contaminating. How many people remember the cantaloupe crisis when all the cantaloupe had to be pulled from the shelves? That's because cantaloupe were loaded into a trailer that had had livestock in it before, and the cantaloupe were contaminated. So we have to make sure that we're vigilant on our food safety standards. A lot of people complain about over-regulations and things of that nature, but I'll give you an example where some are good. The traceability of where our food comes from. If there's a romaine lettuce outbreak, and we've had that, right? Where romaine lettuce has been pulled off the shelves. If I can trace the contamination back to the farm of origination, only the romaine lettuce has to come off the grocery shelves from that farm. If I can't, it has to come off every store. So sometimes regulations is actually good for business. It's just all a matter of how you apply it and how you work it. Those are just some simple examples of what we get involved in on a day-to-day basis. We also do, when you run for office in this job, everybody talks about the losing farmland. I've got nothing to do with whether the legislature gives 3,000 acres to Nucor. Nothing you can do, or the data centers. I don't want to get into the data center controversy here. But they prefer to use flat farmland for constructions because it's cheaper. But what we have to do is we have to work with the new technologies and take what farmland we have and actually make it more productive. And that's what a lot of, hopefully, some of you will do when you go on to college and you'll study and you'll do research in the agricultural world. There's also a lot of opportunity for attorneys actually in agriculture, and agricultural law is becoming a big thing. So if any of you have thoughts about being an attorney, think about studying agricultural law as part of it. It's pretty dynamic and fun-filled. I always like to spend a few moments, if anybody has any questions. I could talk for hours and hours about my job. I absolutely love it. And again, we touch the life of every West Virginian every day, and most don't even know we exist. But you've got a Department of Agriculture of almost 300 men and women doing everything they can to make your life better. So, questions, anybody? Do not be an easy crowd.
You have one over there. Stand to be recognized. What's the favorite part of your job, and why do you like to do what you do?
Well, coming out to talk to our young men and women like this is one of my favorite things to do. I also like going to the fairs and festivals and seeing the effort that our youth put into their livestock. And for you guys, I get to crown a few queens from time to time, and that's not a bad job. But when somebody comes up to you and says, because of the regulations and the things that you've done, I've been able to quit my full-time job and be a farmer full-time, it doesn't get any more rewarding than that. So those are some of the things that I like to do, and we see that happen almost every day. Got one more right here.
My name is Joseph Miller from the Panhandle. What's your opinion on GMOs?
What's my opinion on GMOs? That's a great question. It's very controversial. You know what the first GMO was? A man sped up natural selection in wheat when he found the wheat rust that would wipe out crops and cause starvation around the world. GMO is actually, the best part of GMO is it protects a type of plant from certain things and allows it to proliferate and prevents famine. So GMOs have prevented a lot of famine around the world. And if we're going to do, like I said, feed more and more people on less and less land, we're going to need to use those technologies. The new technology that's coming that's even better than GMO, though, is called gene editing. And that's not even changing the genetics within the plant. That's turning a gene on and off. And that research is now, so you don't have the GMO controversy with gene editing, and that research is actually moving forward in things like trying to turn the BRCA gene off for breast cancer. So there's an awful lot that can come out of that. The only problem with GMOs sometimes is if it's a pesticide-resistant organism, what happens is pesticides can, the plant or the insect can become resistant, and then you have to use more and more. And that's the only real problem with the GMOs. I know it's very controversial sometimes, but once you have all the facts, we're going to feed a world. We needed that. But again, the gene editing is coming on, and it's going to supplant that. Well, thank you all very much. I'll hang around.